for coming for the special board meeting. First thing I'd like to discuss is the mowing contracts that we have for properties that are not maintained. And our bid, we put it online, and our bid opening doesn't happen until June 31st. We can't do anything about it because that's the way the system is built, so we can't open it up early. So at this juncture, we don't have somebody to maintain overgrown lawns and areas that have issues. So I guess my question to our attorney is, our procurement policy is up to $1,000 to do work. Could Joe maybe RFP somebody, or could we get at least some of the stuff done to our next board meeting? How does that work?
I didn't bring the procurement policy with me, but have you done that in the past, Rick? With smaller items?
Yes.
Up to the 1,000?
Yes,
With an RFP?
with an RFP.
And I would go ahead with it.
So, if the board's okay with that, because if not, we're gonna have overgrown lawns till after June 12th meeting.
And there's a need at this point in time,
Yeah, there's definitely a need, yes. Joe has issues now.
but it won't exceed the $1,000.
Correct. Now, if that's per property or per person, so if
Well,
we
you
use different
can't lump
people.
them, no, you can't lump them all together.
Right, so if he says,
Maximum, altogether 1,000.
but with per person, but if we get different organizations to do it, then it's,
I'd rather you stay under the 1,000.
okay. What do you think, Joe?
Based on the bidding last year, that's gonna add up very fast.
All right, let's see what we can do.
All right.
I'm trying to do that. Okay. Next thing on the agenda is a 4-ton recycler and hot box trailer. Rick?
Yes, we had that, the machine was in here Friday last week. We tried it, it worked very well. We went to the plant, got 4 tons, and it went out, and this is working on 9th Street. It works, it kept the blacktop out all day. Usable, so, that is on, it is on state contract. I just need a PO to get it ordered.
Okay. And then, Dan, you did set the transfers up for the price? Okay. So, Dan has, I don't know, Dan, you want to discuss where the money's coming from to purchase it?
So it's a total of $37,537. And I discussed this with Rick. He's told me that a third of the use of this machine will probably be used in the sewer department, and the other 2/3 for the highway department. So the proposed budget adjustment would be to increase purchase of equipment in highway part down by $27,537, and taking $10,000 from Rick's paving budget, and then increasing the interfund revenue by $17,537. So that will make up the $27,537 in the highway part down. And the interfund revenue is from the use of Rick's personnel and equipment that he's going to be using in 2019 for the FEMA. The balance of the FEMA monies, use of his men and equipment. And then it would be just a transfer from contractual to new purchase of equipment in the sewer department. And I have all the, the exact account numbers, and I will give that to Gail, but that's the proposed budget adjustment.
So total is 37.
37,537.
Plus you're gonna have less man hours, right, by using this, in terms of the old system?
Less man hours, but we're also going to not be wasting.
Right, well, I mean, man hours in addition to the efficiency of the.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And now we go up and get the blacktop is able to stay hot. We go up truck now and get 2 or 3 tons to keep it warm, and after a couple hours on a cool day, it gets hard and we can't use it. Or this machine's also used all winter long. That we go out, that's when we get our grout holes from the plows. So now we have a machine to fill these holes the correct way without cold patch. Put cold patch in there, about hits it, it's out. Now we have hot material put in those holes.
And you can get product during the winter for that.
We will have product, what we do is pave a stretch behind the highway garage and with the paper, and you go back in there during, we'll take a jackhammer and make chunks with that blacktop now, and come this fall. And then we use those chunks to go to the machine, and the machine heats it up and brings it back to a warm blacktop material that you can use all winter long. We used this for years and years on the thruway. We had one way back probably 20 years ago. And that's what we did for the winter months.
If you would estimate your scrap, if you will, from, the old stuff, do you ever put a number to that and say, okay,
Well, you can, you go up and get 4 tons, and on the 4 tons, you probably use 2 tons. And material is $53, $56 a ton. So every time you do that, you will have patch holes.
lose a couple hundred bucks or so?
Yeah, every time you go out, then in the winter time, like you say,
Yeah.
we have a budget for cold patch, and we go through that, keep the holes. We had several complaints this past winter of holes, and you go out, you patch them, and then in a day or two, the material goes right back out again. There's no, it doesn't compress, it doesn't stay in those holes.
Do you have a feel for, I said this before, shared services? Have you had any conversation with any other municipality that might want to share this from time to time, or?
Yeah, there's shared services, they own the equipment, just like I share a service with the city of Utica. They have a crack filler for filling in cracks. That's another machine, it's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And when that's not being used, we go down and get it, we buy the material,
Right.
goes in it.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
they still buy the material, and where have you demoed it?
Yes,
Where have you built, where have you worked?
they demoed in front of Old Babies on 9th Street Friday. There was quite a series of potholes that we had complaints of.
Right.
And they looked there and they worked it with it. Sewers, also manholes, lots of times your cracks and stuff going up manholes. Again, clean that material out of there and heat up the material, you can put it around the sewer manholes. So that's why we use there too.
And I talked to the mayor in New York Mill, he'd be interested in working with Rick for that too, so I think that would be a good shared services there.
We got piles.
Good. We've all been.
Winters aren't getting any easier. Do you need a motion to purchase that?
Second?
Motion by Jim,
Second.
second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
We probably should get a separate motion.
Well, that's the purchase it, right? And then we gotta do the transfers next. So I have a motion to approve the transfers.
So moved.
Motion by Rich, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Rick, excavator.
The excavator will be delivered tomorrow.
Okay, great. Great. Question for you, Rich probably would want to know too, for Mud Creek over by Royal Road,
Yes.
how can we pull a permit to clean that out?
We'll get a hold of DEC and
Okay.
get the permit filled out. But
Is that something we do, or?
Yes.
Oh, okay, all right, so that's something, because a lot of the residents have been calling me, so, okay. All right, great.
Paul, can I ask one question?
Sure.
How are you paying for the excavator?
Well, we sold the last one,
Yep,
for $100,000.
yeah, 99.9, yep.
Yeah, whatever it was.
Yep.
And then we're using that money towards the new one, plus the money that we did the transfer for the sewer for $6,000.
So you're laying some of that off on the sewer department also?
Right, because we Rick was discussing pulling the manhole covers with it and using it as
It pulls our sewer pumps. The pumps are quite heavy in these pump stations. We have to have a lift to be able to go in here and lift these pumps out.
No, I know, I'm surprised the company that does them doesn't have that equipment, but that's neither here nor there. And then okay, so okay. I was worried you were gonna try to finance it and then have the old one out on a serial bond.
No, we're not financing it. We already did,
Yeah.
the old one.
Well, it's not on the serial bond.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this one here, we're going from the one machine to the other. The only reason we did that is Rick came up with that great system as
Oh.
buying new machines, and it's costing us less really at the end.
Well, it's really nice because you didn't have to pay for the machine for the first year and a half.
Right,
You used it
yeah.
free. So, no, that's good. That's,
Okay, good. So anything on that, on the excavator, Rick? Anything else? No, that's good. Okay. We have to refund some bids for the fireworks. We had Majestic for $375 and $375 for American Fireworks. If I can have a motion to refund Majestic for $375 back for their bid deposit.
So moved.
Motion by Dave. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. American Fireworks, we have to refund their deposit for $375. If I can have a motion to. Motion by Dave. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay, possible budget adjustments, were those the only ones?
I have one other one.
Okay.
This was, I think, approved in a meeting or two ago, the sale of Rick's, I think it's an F-250. He sold that auction for $42,170. He's going to just repurchase another one for the same amount, no additional cash outlay to the town. So an increase, new purchase of equipment, DB 5130.2 by $42,170. The sale of equipment, state will receive DB 6520 for the sum of $42,170.
Motion by Dave.
Second.
Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. We spoke about the lawn maintenance contracts. Agreements with Oneida County, ditching agreement. Right?
I had, do the same every year, they don't change. Herb is with them or knows about them. And there's one for the mowing agreement that needs to be signed. And also 2019 ditch agreement with the county.
And do them separate.
Motion by Dave. Second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. All right, next one is the mowing contract. Rick, any changes to the mowing contract from last year? No. Herb, you?
Yep,
did it?
fine.
Is that a motion to approve the mowing contract? Motion by Jim. Second by Rich. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. The MS4 annual report, Rick's going to bring that to the June 12th meeting. I had two things. One, there's a group called Mended Hearts, Utica Mohawk Valley. They want to get a pavilion on August 12th from 3 to 8. It's a nonprofit that affects children, affects families and children affected by heart defects. Last year we gave them a discount rate of $20. If you guys would be in agreement to that again this year, they would do the program again this year at the park. I have a motion to approve $20 discount on pavilion.
Second.
Motion by Rich, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Second thing, pickleball courts. As you know, last year with the grant, we had the pickleball courts resurfaced with the right material so they can be top coated and bonded and nets can go in. We purchased the nets already on the grant. The only thing left to do now is to do the lines and put the surface coat in. I got two quotes. One was from Super Seal company, and one was for Nagel Athletic Services. Super seal, super coating, total bid was $16,200. And the total bid for Nagel was $17,500. If you guys want to take a look at this information that's here in the bid package, we pass that around. That's so we can finish up the pickleball. The fencing was in. The fencing was paid for by the grant. The nets were paid for by the grant, and the actual blacktop and the drainage was paid for by the grant. This year would be coming out of Parks contractual. It was the extra money I put in there for our budget last year when we approved it. Also, too, we can have our guys do it, which that's what I put in contractual for just material, or I'm speaking to all the people from pickleball, and they like to see a professional organization do it. They'll give us a warranty for it and everything. It's an additional $7,500, and I would need more to do that. What I'm thinking is, since we get $7,500 in fireworks, we can use that towards the pickleball courts. And again, it's still an asset for the parks. It's still in the same fund, and we'll be able to get the pickleball courts done professionally. And they'll actually have a regulation pickleball court.
What are they doing for $7,500?
Well, it's so last year I put in contractual for the material for the pickleball courts to get them resurfaced, drill the holes, because I was going to have our own parks guys do it with the lines and everything. The additional $7,500 is all the labor to do it and make it a certified pickleball court, to make it a professional, you know, that the lines are done correctly, everything's up to standard, so they can have actual tournaments there. And again, talking to everybody from the pickleball clubs that are around the area, Wendy, which is one of the biggest ones, you know, she told me it's worth the money and gold because you're going to get everybody to play and actually use it the correct way. Because years ago, when the lines were done and the surfing was done, it wasn't really done correctly, so it really wasn't used much at all, and it kind of defeated the purpose of even spending all the money. So I thought this way here, they'll certify it, they'll warranty it. It'll be, again, a nice certified pickleball court, and, you know, we should get it for 10, 15 years before we have to resurface or do anything to it.
What are these people doing?
They're doing everything. They're actually supplying the material and the labor to refinish everything, to get it done.
If they're not doing the line,
No, they're doing the line, they're doing everything. You don't touch, none of the parks guys.
I'm missing something.
Okay.
You get 2 bids, and now there's an additional $7,000?
That's for the warranty.
No, so in my contractual last year, I knew that we still had to pay for the surfacing stuff. It wasn't going to be in the grant. We didn't have enough money, so I put it in contractual parts. So in contractual, I put $10,000 extra in there to do this with the material. But these bids came out at $17,500 as material and labor to do it at professional standards.
So there's the
The $7,500, right, is exactly. So what I thought was,
I understand.
right, but this will give us a professional pickleball court that's, again, they can have actual tournaments on it. They'll line them up perfect. They'll put the right lines in. They'll drill the holes, put the right holes in. Because we spent the money in the grant, put down, we needed grade A tennis court material.
So there's no more drain line?
No, the grant's gone, everything that's there. I mean, there's still siding left and stuff that we bought, but they're finished putting that up this summer. So all the buildings at Sherbrooke and everything are totally redone, the farmers markets, the work that was done in Chadwick's, you know, all that stuff is part of it.
How long is that service do?
He said 10 to 15 years, so it depends, you know, again, on whether how bad, but I think the warranty, there's a stamp certification on there for exactly what they give you, what they do. But again, they put on, you know, the multi-layers of the surface, they put the lines in, they're gonna drill the holes for the poles. So again, it'll be a professional, tournament-ready pickleball course.
Is that the only thing the court should be used for?
Yes, just pickleball. Yeah, just pickleball.
That's a lot of money.
Well, and again, an average tennis court too is around 30 grand. I mean, it's like the city of Utica spent over 107,000 over by the parkway over there to do theirs, just to surface some, revamping.
So if we did have tournaments and whatever, then naturally then people would be going to our restaurants and that sort of stuff, so we bring in.
Sure, it's gonna bring people to the area to use the park more. I mean, again, everything we put into our park, people are gonna use them. I mean, it's a benefit for our residents overall. And again, our guys could do it, but, at this point, again, we have the money left over from the fireworks, and again, I think it's a good thing to take that money instead of putting in fund balance or something at the end of the year, that we use it in our parks, and if we can make this an actual destination for pickleball, it's definitely a positive. And again, the guys from the park could do it, but it just, again, I don't know, their skills on putting in the lines and stuff. I know they've done it in the past, and it wasn't, to everybody's satisfaction, so I mean, again.
Did you get a price just if we were to apply the acrylic, if that's what the surface is, just for striping, so you have a standard striping? Did you get that or no?
No, I didn't, because again, the object is if we buy, the material's 10 grand, just for the material. So if they go in and they don't put it down, and we put it down and it's not right, and it starts peeling and chipping, they're not going to warranty or do anything for us. So this way here, if they do it from the brand new paving we put down on, and we have an issue, we can go back at them and say, okay, well, this is what happened, So that's my only thing, that they are gonna take the whole thing, get it done right, and we're gonna get a finished product, so.
What's the maintenance issues yearly?
Nothing, it's just pretty much cleaning. That's why they put down, there's a multi-layer system that they put down, so you really don't have any maintenance. I mean, again, if somebody goes and destroys it and throws stuff all over, that's a different story, but for everyday maintenance, we put the drainage in there so it's not water. Before, the water used to pool in there, it doesn't anymore. So that's one of the biggest things. You don't want pooling water and water staying there, because it's gonna penetrate over time.
It seems, just from a logic standpoint, material can't cost 10,000 for them to put up. They're not going to make any. Where's the labor?
Well, they make 7,500 on the labor.
So if we're to buy the material, can't be 10,000 because if the cost of the material is 10,000. Something does add up. You know what I'm saying? Like if you were to just get that, maybe I'm missing something, but.
Well, they have markup, of course, on like Super Seal.
Yeah.
So they buy it. They're like a franchise. They buy the material at a wholesale level. They sell it to us for retail. So we're going to pay retail regardless, because you can't buy Super Seal products, on the market. You got to go through them. So they charge us a retail price for the material for it. And again, it's a multi. The 5-gallon pails are like $300 a pail. I got the catalog in my office if you want to take a look at it. But and it is it's going to be 6 pickleball courts, so it's a pretty big area. It's not a small. It's not just one. We're talking 6 full-fledged pickleball courts. There's a lot of square footage there. I mean, paving alone is 30 grand just for the paving.
What have we done to date up there in terms of the pickleball court?
We put in the new fencing. We put in the new locks on the gates. We put in drainage, because I don't know if you remember, but it all used to pool water. We ripped down the old, backboard that was there. It was all coming out of the ground. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was lifted out of the ground. We took that concrete out. We regrassed that area, and we bought the pickleball nets that are there, and we ripped out the pavement and redid the top of the tennis court grade paving that's on there.
Did we eliminate tennis or basketball?
We never had that up there. They were pickleball courts, but they were.
What were they used for other than pickleball? Nothing?
No, because none of the pickleball people wanted to use them because they weren't regulations. So really what happened was there was kids just riding their bicycles no one ever really used them because again, they weren't set up for real pickleball playing. So now they go other areas where there are, but they would come here, you know, and again, everyone can use them, you know, it's not gonna be just for.
I don't know anything about pickleball, so maybe I'm,
Yeah,
out of the loop.
I'm not in it anyway, it's a big thing that's, again, I looked it up a lot online and stuff, I mean, it's down south, it's really big. You know, Florida and areas like that, and again, when you talk about it to a lot of people that travel, they know about it, so, they're way ahead of me, but, again, I mean, there had to be a demand for it at some point anyway, because they were pickleball courts, it's just they weren't done correctly. I mean, they put driveway sealer on it last time instead of using the real sealer and stuff, and, you know, I don't know if you looked at them, but they looked horrible, all the poles were pulling on the ground, the concrete was broken, I mean, that's all fixed and gone now, so
I
it
was
was
all
all,
for tennis courts.
I did too. To be honest with you,
I
I did too.
don't know when pickleball actually
Yeah, I
resonated.
still don't know what it is.
But I don't know why we built 6 and not have tennis courts.
If we didn't use it for pickleball, what else?
well, Jim, we didn't have tennis courts, because there were no tennis courts there. That's why we didn't have them.
At Sherwood, there was definitely tennis courts there.
There wasn't tennis courts there.
I know, I can't.
No, I'm just telling you, there was tennis courts there before my time. There was tennis courts there. The guys did the pickleball stuff in the last like 3 years that were up there. They started putting lines in for pickleball. The nets and everything were gone. There's no tennis up there to play.
What a discussion about pickleball.
You know.
If you didn't use it for pickleball, what do you use the courts for?
Well, you can make tennis courts again up there too, if you want to do tennis courts.
We need 6 though.
Well, what happened was years ago, again, before we even got involved in parks and anything, and anyone did anything in parks, they had the pickleball courts transferred from the tennis courts. So you can't put a tennis court there plus put like 2 pickleball because the balls would be going in different people's courts. So again, I set this up, you know, doing the research with people that use these things, and then this is how they set to do it with the space that we had. Plus the fencing, the main poles are already in, so we would have had to rip all that out and reconfigure everything, which the cost would have been astronomical. So that's why we did what we did, you know, because it was cost effective, and they would have, you know, full-fledged pickleball courts that, you know, everybody again was interested in, you know, so.
And I know you've had inquiries and some people are excited about it. I haven't heard anybody say anything about pickleball to me.
Right.
I just, is there that support out there for pickleball? Obviously, you think there is.
You know, I think there is. I mean, the other day I walked into Steve Bonnie Ford, and the manager over there, which I don't even know was from Mazda, came over and goes, "Oh, I heard you're doing pickleball in New Hartford. That's great." You know, the lady that runs the paper from the town crier, she's into it. Another lady, Wendy, which is helping, she's into it. Again, I'm only naming a few people, but I probably talked to at least 25, 30 people that, again, will use it, and they will bring more people because they will have tournaments here. So again, it's going to attract more people to it. And then again, people that don't know about pickleball might want to go up and try it and use it. It's a huge thing down in Florida. I mean, they're putting in all HOAs and homeowners associations and everything. So again,
So our investment is $7 million over above.
well, no, our investment is transferring the money from the fireworks to pickleball.
Right.
Right. So I mean, it's no extra money in our budget, and it's no additional cost. But again, if you guys want to wait, it's fine. If you want to do your own research, go ahead. I mean, I don't know what else you would do with the courts that are up there. I mean, we also have a basketball court. That's the only thing that didn't get updated. That's totally destroyed. I mean, it's horrible. I don't know if you guys seen it. But the basketball courts is up towards the front where the football kids play. I mean, that's another thing that, you know, hopefully down the road in one of the budgets or something that we can repair that and get that looking nice. But again, the pickleball wasn't really a decision of us. This was done way before. It just wasn't done correctly, so nobody used it. So it was a waste. So what I'm trying to do is make it so it's usable and functional, and that we can be proud of it instead of just walk by it. You know? So again, I don't know. I mean, tennis courts, there's a lot of tennis courts around us, you know, too. So, I mean, you look at it that way, this will be the only pickleball court area, you know, that's local, that people can go to.
It's playing together for several months.
I'd like to see the, you mentioned the basketball. So that's something a family could go out and have a picnic and shoot baskets. I mean, that's disappointing that that wasn't part of the repairs and it's deteriorated to where it is. But just as a side, that needs to be taken care of.
Oh, yeah, well, again, that's something that we can make the decision. I mean, we can get that done. That's not an issue. I mean, again, these were in disarray. This was totally destroyed. This had water pooling in it. I mean, Rick was up there with me. I mean, it wasn't a nice site. So regardless, everything in that park had to be repaired because nothing was done in 20 years. So, you know, everything that was up there needs to be done, and that's what we're doing. Again, we're redoing the building, the concession stand area. You know, all the folks from football and everything else are happy about that. You know, it's just, we're working on it. And every year, if we do a little bit, you know, in the next couple of years, everything will be done. You know, but this, again, this is the start. It's just, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, they're ready for tennis courts. You want to put tennis courts, it's fine, but let's put something that, again, is going to make it so people can use it and beautify it. You know, it doesn't have to be pickleball court. But, again, I think it'd be nice to have something new and different in the area that's up and coming. And, you know, again, you can go tennis courts anywhere. I mean, they're down the street on Oneida Street, they're all over the place. So it's,
What other use can you have other than tennis? And it's not
I have no clue. I don't know if pickleball usually or tennis would be what you would use it for. Basketball, you would have to completely redo it and make it a basketball court. But again, we have a basketball court already. We just have to revamp that basketball court. When we have that didn't go away. People are still playing on it. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I'll just table it. Dave, want to table it for a little bit?
Yes.
Think about it. Can we table it?
Yeah, no, we can table it. That's fine. That's fine. So what do you want to do on the next June 12th? I mean, if you guys got to come up with another idea, that's fine. But I mean, if you want, I'll bring all the pickleball people here. They can talk to you about it. I mean, again, I'm not into pickleball, but you know, that's.
Table to the June 12th meeting.
Yeah, and if you guys want to, I'll get some quotes for that basketball. The basketball court that's up there too. Is that something else that, you know, again, I think everything should get done at parks. I mean, it's been a long time since anybody put any money into them. And I think now is the time, you know, instead of spending money foolishly on other stuff, you know, we put it in our assets, so. But, But yeah, no,
Can you get a quote on the basketball?
yeah, no, I'll definitely get a quote. I'll definitely get a quote on the basketball and see what they, you know, what we have to do with that one. So, but
Okay.
sound good? Yeah. Good bills? You guys take a look at it.
Yep.
And a motion to approve the bills. Someone, motion by Rich.
Second.
Second by Jim, discussion. All in favor? Aye. All right, that's all I had. Next week, okay, no.
We have the proposed deed and the abstract of title and the engineer's certifications for the 2 new roads in Applewood community. Jack's Way and Gracie's Place. Rick, engineering service look okay to you?
Yes.
So I'd like a motion to accept dedication of these two roads in Applewood.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jim, second by Rich, discussion. All in favor? Aye.
Authorize Paul to sign gains tax and E&A.
MS4 is all set.
No, next meeting.
Have you heard anything from FEMA on Woodbury?
No, from Colin, no. I've got another call in,
You do?
and I know he's trying to expedite it as much as possible. As you remember at the last meeting, Barb was very helpful.
Yeah.
She scanned in everything and sent all to
He
me.
has everything that's
Oh, he's
required.
got everything.
It's up to him at this
Yeah.
point. All right, thanks. Also, Compton Road, that ongoing issue, stormwater runoff, et cetera. I'd like to revisit that. If we could go up there, if you're available sometime, to go up and look at that, or whether it's going to take a swale or a catch basin or I think this wet weather has just made a bad situation worse.
Oh, I agree everywhere.
I think we deserve, or they deserve a look-see again.
Okay. And you know, another thing we really need to talk about too next year, we have these issues everywhere, and we gotta come up with some way how we plan to, well, one, pay for it. Two, is how do we pick one over the other? Because I have this issue, you know, on Higbee Road, there's a few issues off those streets that are just as major as this one, or even worse. You know, and it's like, how do we prioritize which ones get done? And if we are, can we put a few of those maybe in to get grant money from the county? I mean, we really gotta sit down and brainstorm and come up with a good idea. Because right now, we just don't have anything on the table for the small things that impact only certain people, you know, I mean, you know, for the bigger stuff, me and Rick have been working, and, you know, again, we got a plan, the one that you're doing on Farm Crest and stuff, I mean, we have a plan for it, but these small little onesie, twosies in between people's houses and stuff, I don't know, we just,
It involves getting right-of-ways, it's a monster sometimes.
yeah, and then again,
And sometimes it's not our issue.
correct, that's what I'm trying to say is that, you know, where does it stop, where does it end, like, what is our criteria, at least that we can all follow?
But when we've had an existing swale, whether we put it in or the contractor put it in, I don't know, or an existing catch basin that for whatever reason wasn't maintained or deteriorated, or just maybe didn't even know it was there sometimes. You know, I think we have some obligations now.
Well, we used to have that stormwater committee, Liz
They
DiGeronimo, and that's what they did, well, they prioritized
Right.
the smaller projects.
It was
We
based
tried to
on-
go ahead on some of the smaller
Right, it
ones,
was
to
based on
get
the
easements.
number of people affected,
Right.
and they had a regular criteria that
Right.
made sense, and that's how things were prioritized.
As long as it wasn't a private issue,
Right.
as long as the town had some responsibility, then they would
Exactly.
prioritize.
And we actually took a bus tour, I don't know if you were with us or not, but we took a bus tour of problem areas, problem locations, and it was interesting because there were some catch basins that people that should have known didn't know they were there, you know, just had never been maintained.
It's hard to keep it in when you work your property.
No, and I understand, and I guess what I'm trying to get at is that, again, like we talked about this before, we gotta figure, we don't do them, or we gotta figure out how to do it, I guess.
All right, I think it's not gonna solve today, but I think it's a conversation that we should wrap our heads around and start looking towards.
Yeah.
For next year, I agree, I know where you're going with that, and I like where you're going with that.
As a group,
trying to put
together as a group.
Yeah, we all have different areas, and I get, I get the whole private property, what's the homeowner, I think it's a lot of educational thing that we put out there to homeowners and everything, you know what I mean? So
Right.
when we deep dive into this, I think we'll learn more. Again, maybe instituting a stormwater committee again would help. again, and we can, from each ward, we can list some problem areas. You may know of them too anyways before we do, same with you, Paul, they'll contact you for us, so we sit down and really get into that, because it's not going away. We know that, we're always going to have stormwater, a lot of hills in Hartford, just the way it is. I mean, a lot of, homes were built before the advancement of stormwater, or conditions, have worsened over the years that they didn't plan on, we didn't plan on, so it's one of those things. We can look at that. I agree. It's a hot item.
I think there's a lot of false expectations out there by the constituents, which if you set up guidelines and you know that there's a process, I think it goes smoother for everybody.
Yeah, no, and I agree. That's the biggest thing, is there's a lot of false expectations of us. And again, it's hard to tell somebody that's really your property, or you bought a house that had an issue, then, I don't know, we can't step in. So I guess that's why I'm asking, saying, all right, board, do you want me to tell people this? Because I don't have an issue, because if we're responsible, we're responsible. If we're not, we're not. But we can't, I don't want to lead people along that we're going to do something for them and then we don't do it, because then everybody just gets upset. So my thing is, if it's a private property issue and legally we can't do anything for them and we just can't do it, I have no problem telling them, guys, we cannot do this. I mean, I've told a lot of people so far, maybe they're not happy with my decision, but I've told them we cannot do this, and that's it. I mean, it's not our town responsibility, and the whole town can't pay for an issue that you have in your backyard. And I explained this to some people, and there was a gentleman here that was, came from another area in Rich's district, and stuff, and there wasn't even town property near him or anything that we had to do with it. And I just had to explain, you can't take care of the water in your backyard, because if that's the case, you gotta come over to my house to do it, because mine's a swamp right now. So, and that's all I want from the board, but I don't want to tell somebody no, and then somebody else goes out there and says, we gotta take care of this issue, because it's really bad. But, exactly, and that's all I'm asking. So if you guys could really think about it, and now that it's getting worse and worse, I think this decision's got to be made sooner than later, because if it's not, we're just leading people on, and I don't want to, I don't want to do that. I want to tell them straight up, if it's legal for the town to do it, let's do it. The town, it's not legal for us to do it, and it only affects one person, and it's their property, and we just can't do it, and that's it. And if we get grant money from the county to do projects, that's a whole different story. But for us, it's not maintainable. I mean, again, everyone calls every day about an issue that is affecting their backyard that, the town can't do anything about it, because for one, we're not responsible for it. For two, it'd be overwhelming in cost. There's just no way to do that.
So, go back to the stormwater districts, kind of fell off the list. I started to look at it, came up with something.
Again, I thought that was the only way, and have a committee that came and actually reviewed it. So again, it was non-political. It was, you went to it and said, hey, listen, this is my issue. The stormwater committee looks at it. If it's a legal thing to do, then, we get it and we approve it if that's the case. And if it's not, then it automatically gets dropped off and it's done with. And it doesn't, because what happens here is they'll call Rick. Then if Rick says no, they'll call me, or they'll call the councilman, and then it just goes around in a circle, and then they just get more and more upset. So they just need one person to go, yes, we're going to do it, yes, it's legal to do it, or no, it's not, and it's done with, and that's it. And we eliminate, I think, all the hard feelings. Because we have so many hard feelings. Because I don't know how many emails I get saying, we voted for you, but now you're not taking care of our stormwater. Then I go out to the site, and I take the time to look at it, and me and Rick seen one. I mean, there's literally a lady's backyard was facing two other backyards, and water was coming off theirs and theirs, and they wanted the town to fix it. I said, absolutely not, we can't do that. It's not right, it's not legal, we just can't do it, right? We want, it just, we have to stay with that whole way through. We can't, do one and then not do the other, because everyone knows everybody, and after a while, people know what's going on, and then, it's just causing more issues. And I think, again, for the last year, I haven't done or told anybody we were going to do anything. with little stormwater problems that they have in their own backyards and inside their house. And I know some people call, they got garages that are going in and undermining and even their houses. But again, it's on their property. I mean, it's not a town issue. It's an issue that they have with their parcel. And I feel for them. It's horrible. There's water everywhere. I mean, I'm dealing with it at my own house. I mean, just, my neighbors have dealt with it. I mean, it's expensive and it's,
So we'll just kind of circle around the same thing, saying the same thing, but yeah, we'll come to a standardized, consistent.
I mean, we want to revisit the way it worked in the past. We can find what procedures and maybe even talk to someone that was on that committee, get a feel for it, and we're ready to go. So.
And just to add one more thing, just quick, because again, you said the passage was key, but that's our biggest issue is years ago in the past, one would get it done, one didn't, one did, one didn't. So again, that's what's been done. So whatever we did in the past was really the problem. Why we have a problem today is because everyone expects it because it was done in the past that way.
Yeah, I take exception to that a little bit because it was prioritized and the big items identified by that group or prioritized the top items, not necessarily big, but the top items. That's how it was handled, and then the group fell apart.
That group came up with the detention ponds that we have today, at
Yeah.
Beechwood Road and.
Exactly. They laid the groundwork for a lot of things that we're just now really accomplishing. So, again, I take exception to it.
No, I'm talking about the little driveway projects and stuff that an old councilman went up before our time or an old supervisor said, hey, go do that, or an old,
The Stormwater Committee had a system that worked.
Yeah, no, and the big projects, I'm just saying the small things that were done in-house that, again, weren't a board approved, wasn't through the committee, wasn't done. Those were the things I'm talking about that we haven't done now. And, people expect them because they've seen them done in the past that way. So just that's why we came up with a standard we all use. That's what will work.
So I'll get together with you sometime. We'll go up on County Road, look at that again. That's going to be the bottom line. Fine, if not, we'll discuss it.
I said two quick things.
Hey, Paul, can I just put one comment on the stormwater issue?
Sure.
All right, I can do it afterwards if you want to
Yeah,
finish
if you
it.
can do that,
Yeah.
I gotta go, I gotta come at one. Did you sign a contract for Birmingham? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that, what's the process from there? I mean, is the contractor get it? What's the timeframe? Did we get any, or could we get?
Once I sign the contract, it gets sent back to whoever did the bidding, and then they start the job. So that's usually how it goes.
So we signed it and.
They have to come in with the proof of insurance.
Yeah. And then I think there's a bond or something
Yeah.
they have to come in with too. So he's notified that he did get awarded the bid, and the contract was signed by me. In fact, I think it was last week. And now it's just really in his hands to come and do it. Or if you want to reach out to him too, I mean,
He has to sign, he has to sign the contract?
he has a signed contract. Yes.
And then lastly, Chatwis has the parade usually, and usually Elm Street gets swept. I don't know if that was swept yet at all, or
Should have.
I was told it wasn't, but I don't know. I mean, usually around parade time, I get phone calls asking if
Be spot. I have one more quick thing. Where do we stand on getting on the list of those two trucks? We talked about that
that's
board meeting.
2020 or 21.
Yeah, 2020. Page 14, we talked about 14, 16 months. Just looking for permission to get on the list.
Okay, so
We talked to Dan.
yeah, so I talked with Tom Myers, and he's the one that takes care of our bonding and everything. Tom told me what we did last time at the meeting was correct. We could do, in fact, we didn't even have to go out to referendum for it. He says we could have purchased the trucks just for resolution, and then when the contract actually comes in, that's when we have to do another resolution for the lease and everything. He
And it's
said,
subject to the permission for.
correct. And not only that, but he said that it's, because we're leasing them, anything under 5 years that we're doing. So if it was over 5 years, then we'd have to go out and do the referendum. Because it was under 5 years as a lease, we didn't have to. So he says just a resolution to let Rick go out and purchase the trucks. And then when the contract or lease comes in, that's at the time that we do another resolution, and he would do his paperwork and get them in. But that's how he explained it to me. So, again, I don't know.
Well, he's the authority then.
And that's what he told us. So, with the,
So does that answer your question, Rick, or no?
Then the commission will,
yeah. So if we want to make a resolution for him to go out and put on the list, we can do that. Again, there's no cost now. The cost is when the lease terms come in.
No, it's further.
further down the road, it keeps,
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Dave, second by Jim. Discussion. All in favor? Aye. And then when they actually come in and the lease documents are drawn up, then we would do everything we need to do at that time. But right now, it's all he needed was a resolution to be put on the list.
I'm sorry, I would.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you.
No, now we're going to vote on the
Yeah, I got two comments if I could while you're in session. Number one, this meeting was not advertised anywhere at all. Out of the blue, it was not advertised.
Yeah, we have
No, it was a quick one in the paper, there was, but it was not on the website or anyplace else.
It's on the bulletin board, and I sent it.
What's on a bulletin board of a destination building? Come on, it's not like Butler Hall where you walk by it. This is a destination.
Did you file the rate? You filed the rate protocol, right?
Pardon?
The rate protocol for this meeting was filed?
No, it did hit the paper once, about yay big.
I sent it to the OD. I sent it, it's posted on the bulletin board.
The bulletin board's a destination. Who comes out here? It's not on the website anywhere.
I sent it.
I'm telling you, I've looked every day through I tried all different sections. There's nothing. Well, there you go. Well, it's not much better than normal anyway, so I guess I can't. But I don't know how you do it, but there's got to be a better way on these.
We just follow the rules that we have to through GAL.
Yeah,
again, I don't.
Well, the website would be nice, especially right in the front page where you could see it. I don't know how many hits you get on that. But anyway, number two.
It might have been put under minutes or meetings.
No, I looked in the website, I looked all over.
Okay.
Number two, you got the supervisor's report up. Congratulations. The problem is, there's no year-to-date information, and there's no comparison to budgets. It's absolutely useless.
Okay.
Well, it is. I mean, you spent X number of dollars this month. What's that tell you? It doesn't tell you anything. Comparison to budget, month-to-date and year-to-date would be the way they used to come out, which was very useful.
Well, it actually is on there.
Oh, I don't think so. The budget blank is blank all the way down.
No, it just gets distributed from the software that we have. So it says year date what it is, and that's what I put out.
But there's no budget. And based on what you said about your system, without the budget information, how do you know the piece of paper you sign off on, you're within budget if you don't have the budget information? So I'm presuming it's basically...
Well, no, it is. It's real time. That sheet gets generated from that software.
But you have columns for budget. They're blank. So
Then it just didn't get uploaded correctly, but it is.
well, I was
there.
going to say, but I'm presuming if the columns are there, I mean, historically, they were always there. Until...
And they're there now. I'm just telling you, it was an uploading issue. So I'll ask Barb and do it, but yes, the columns are there, the board sees it.
Okay, well,
Columns are there.
the public
Item
does, the
says
public
budget.
doesn't.
It has the budget number that's there.
Yep.
Correct?
No.
No, I'm telling you, this is what it has.
Oh, no.
It has the budget numbers that are there, for the
Yep.
budget for the year.
For the current-
Shows to real-time date of exactly how much we spent.
Yep.
The date on the corner of the page.
That's better than it was, yes. Now you tell the date, which is handy. It
Right.
did before. All right, anyway, that's missing. Number three, talking about stormwater. In late 70s, this town passed an ordinance that if you put a subdivision in or a major project, you have to create a stormwater district. It's one of your local laws. If you don't have it, I'll be happy to send it to you. We also have got 12 or 13 stormwater districts on the books. Yeah, I say, but there are a significant number. And when you talked about stormwater a year and a half ago, you brought your engineer in, and I asked him, how do the problem areas sync up to the existing stormwater districts? And he acknowledged that's probably 90%. So why are you trying to create these big stormwater districts where 90% of the people don't have stormwater, but you want them to pay for the 10% that do? So I think you got to take a look at your local laws, take a look at the existing stormwater districts.
Right, but just so you know, the local stormwater laws that you're saying is for new subdivisions. We haven't had any subdivisions here in 20 years. You know what I mean? That are-
Well, you had Whitetail, there's a stormwater district right up in Whitetail.
Right,
We
but
paid-
again, we're going forward. I can't change what happened in the past. I can only go forward in the future. So yes, if we follow those laws for new developments going in, that's a great idea. But we can't go back on.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
Right,
Because
right.
you're right, basically, what's been built. So there's one for Waterbury, Woodbury, like Mr. Buck's thing, should have had a stormwater district formed. Then unequivocally, he pays for it. He's the only person in there. And if he doesn't pay, it goes on to taxes, and, I mean, makes sense. Somebody was reasonably smart, but we never have used them. They've created these were created up until the previous administration, up until that point in time, when a good-sized project or a subdivision went in, the stormwater district was created. They stopped at the previous administration.
Right.
So, this,
No, and I understand what you're saying, but again, I think going back in time, I think we gotta look to the future. Because we always look back, we say things were done wrong. Well, yeah, but you can't go back and change.
oh, no, I don't think they're done wrong. We haven't used them.
Well, that's what our problem is. And are they functional? I don't know. Again, you said you spoke to the engineer. When we spoke to the engineer, he had a whole different outlook. His outlook was to have a major one,
Yeah.
so the cost is much, much smaller, because you would still never get these projects done if you had these small little districts, because they're unaffordable. So
Well-
having those small districts, again, for the hours I spent with Martin and Judas, doesn't work. So again, I don't know how else you would do it, but they even said that the small districts don't work. But if you have a huge district, then there's more money in the till to do these projects, because again, a cost that was 20 years ago is quadruple.
At least.
And now, we can't afford, but this district can't afford to take care of the issues that we have. So again, if we did a huge district, the impact would be very little over the whole town, and we would still get the job done. But getting these little districts energized with 10 houses in them is again, not gonna solve any problems. We're still
Well,
going back to the same place we were.
Has anybody really identified and see what the boundary are? Because maybe you combine them. But the problem's going to be, in most of those districts where the problems are, you're going to charge 90% of the people that don't have it. You know, you're going to try to convince 80 or 90% of the people to pay for something for 10% of the people.
Well, again, one of the parts of the district was for maintenance. Everybody in this town has stormwater maintenance. I don't care if you're in a flood zone or you're not.
I agree.
Everywhere. Every subdivision has it. Everyone has maintenance, because you still need to clean all the, retention areas in your area, the drainage that's in the streets. I mean, everybody has a stormwater maintenance.
Yep.
So that's why, I came up with it last year to do something like this, because this would actually create a maintenance department that would just take care of these issues instead of being on Rick, because again, this is really not a Rick department. A lot of the stuff he's doing, but again, it's above and beyond his call of duty.
Absolutely agree. You form a maintenance district, and maybe it's town-wide.
Right, well, that's why I wanted
And what
to
you do
create-
is you contract it out to somebody.
These districts that I was talking about still is not gonna take care of people's backyard problems.
Well,
It's
that's-
gonna take care of the drainage in the streets, and maybe put in tributaries and different stormwater maintenance places that could be, cleaned and upgraded to help those areas and help stormwater as a whole around the town. That's all this was supposed to be. Again, this was never, my idea was never to fix people's backyard problems at their own issues.
No,
But this is a maintenance-only stormwater district. But again, if you have good maintenance, it helps you when you have storms. I mean, that's
I
the
agree.
problem is now is we can't keep up with the maintenance because we don't have the manpower and we don't have the money to keep up with the maintenance.
No, I think a district, if those districts are solely for maintenance, it makes a lot of sense, because, hell, if you're up here high and you don't have any water issues, well, guess what? Well, guess where the water's generated? So those, I think, would be a saleable product. It's the major things that you're gonna have a tough sell on for that other 80 or 85% of the people that don't have issues. The maintenance, I think, is saleable.
Yeah, and there's no major projects that would be in the stormwater district, at least to my idea, and when I was talking to Martin LaJudas. And just to go back, those districts that you're talking about, we were told those were worthless districts again. Those don't bring any value to the areas that they're in because they are so small. I mean, you'd have to charge people, $10,000 a year for stormwater district to even do any work in the areas because it didn't make sense before. It wasn't planned correctly. So those just need to be abolished, and that was what Martin LaJudas said to do. Abolish those, come up with 1 or 2 major storm districts for the area, make it a maintenance plan.
Maintenance
and then
only.
you would do maintenance across the town, you would have your own department that would do maintenance, and everything would get cleaned and fixed. So when we do have a storm, we don't have, everything blocked and drains broken and all that kind of. It would be to put drain in areas that didn't have drainage on the right of ways. Would be, that maintenance money would go towards putting that in and getting our right of ways set up in our areas where our roads are undermining. We have issues with water. That those issues would be fixed in the town wide. Again, everyone uses our roads, so that's what this was for.
Yep.
This was never for, again, people's backyards or a major project in one area. The major projects we looked at down the road is if we wanted to do something separate and get money from the county, which we're doing now. The last year, $2 million was allocated towards us for stormwater. So those were totally different. Those are for major projects only, but the stormwater district was only for maintenance. Every person in this town, I don't care where you live or where you are, you have some kind of stormwater maintenance. So you paying is being fair to everybody because, again, it all comes together, our drainage, you know that.
No, maintenance districts make a lot of sense,
Right.
and nobody should have a problem paying those.
It was actually a rate schedule set up, what the rates would be to generate X in this district.
Correct, and it was on assessment,
Right.
so people wouldn't get hit that hard. So again, our commercial district that's there, that generates a lot of the water and the issues that we have in that area, would contribute more to more of the maintenance that are there and get them done. I know we always look at whose responsibility is it, but with this maintenance district thing is the responsibility would be to get them clean and get them done so we don't have an issue. And that's what I looked at. Let's just get the job done, because
Quite frankly, I wouldn't even futz, I'd just contract it out, then you don't have to worry about it.
well, yeah, but again, we found out, I know the previous administration, we had the discussion about contracting it out, and as you know, the cost is huge compared to having it in-house. We spent $750,000 one summer just doing.
Well, those are a lot of those were storm related, and there were some issues there which I won't go into.
Right, but again, it's a large cost, even by the hour, to get stuff done and having your own
Well,
in-house crew that just.
You're gonna
goes
save,
out.
we're gonna save a little bit, but now you're gonna increase the size of Rick's payroll, so, that's something that should be looked at, but maintenance is a good idea. Also, you gotta stay the hell out of people's backyards, because once you do something, you own it.
Listen, you ain't telling me, I agree.
No,
I've said that for the last, 14 months. I'm not into doing backyards.
no, it's, because I say,
It doesn't
we,
make sense, because it's not fair to me.
Oh.
Because even though I'm a supervisor, I'm still a taxpayer.
Oh, no,
It's not
that's-
fair to me, because I have, water issues that I had to pay to get resolved.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to pay for somebody else's issues, so.
No, that's,
You know,
end of sermon.
okay.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Anybody else have anything that we can discuss? Okay. A motion to adjourn? Motion by Rick, second by Dave. So if I don't say aye, then we're going to stay here. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.